Honorable Elijah Muhammad? He said, yes. I said, what do you think the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would be? That Savior's Day. Okay. I said, you say you will follow Imam Deen Muhammad. What do you think he'd be as Savior's Day? And I say, and I will rest my case, and so you will follow Imam Muhammad. And I told the brother at the table, I said, this is a follower Imam Deputy Muhammad, who has just admitted he's not going to do anything Imam Muhammad said do. Thank you, brother. In court, this I rest my case. The next thing is the bailiff and the court, they bring the jury, and the jury would have convicted him of a crime. This is the day of seriousness. But I want to mention this. So I'm at this gathering, and I welcome this brother, and I want to know who he is, because I don't ever want to be in an environment where I don't know who people are. And you shouldn't either. You should welcome people. You should see yourself as an ambassador of the community of Imam Deen Muhammad to win friends for our community. You see what I'm saying? I go on the interfaith gathering. I don't go as Alfred Mohammed. I go as a follower of Imam Deen Muhammad. I was at a big Christian gathering, about 700 people. And the brother I was with, he was so scared to declare that he was a follower of Imam Muhammad, like he had gotten there on his own. So the Caucasian said, hey, we're going to get the coolest Imam on earth. That's what he called me. He said, Imam, will you come up and close out the prayer? I said, yeah, I thank you so much for delighted to say that. But I just have to tell you where I'm coming from. I came out of the Nation of Islam. And I came out of the same class that Louis Farrakhan, before he dropped out, was in. That Minister Malcolm was in. And Minister Malcolm took advanced class number 2. He couldn't stay in the class. He couldn't buy it with the leader, Imam Deen Muhammad. All right, y'all. We need to study this. I'm not talking nothing. I've got historical facts. Bring any historian here, and I can prove it. Read Pillar of Fire. These are Malcolm's words. Now, I ain't talking about being influenced. Malcolm, Farrakhan, and all the ministers were taught the religion by Imam Deen Muhammad, per Honorable Elijah Muhammad, telling them to say, look, if you can't see me, see Minister Wallace. Now, I know a lot of them lied and said they came to Chicago. They didn't even get to see Don Block. He was in Phoenix. They gave the money to Secretary Rasul and saw Minister Wallace. And the Imam couldn't corrupt him, so he didn't take the money. But he got reports. And he ran the nation when he was here. And I was so glad Brother Minister Nathaniel Muhammad said on radio show for the first time, you're going to get to the heart of the subject. I get to the subject, is we're on the subject. But you need the preliminary. He said, Daddy taught Islam. And Wallace taught Al-Islam. That's the first time any family member said that publicly. I got him to say it on my radio show. And he said a whole lot of other things. I said, look, 3 of the family members called in. Well, you shouldn't have Uncle Nathaniel like that. And one of Sultan, I may just tell you, he called him. And he's very disrespectful. Uncle Nathaniel. Uncle Nathaniel. And he's going to cut me off. I said, brother, first is my ship. That's the move I want you to know. Number 2, your uncle, who you claim to respect, appointed me imam. So you are going to listen. And Sister Layla, all the rest of you all going to listen to what I got to say, or I'm going to use the clip now. And they were very respectful. Because they called back the first time, they thought Sultan could beat me up. I ain't got no fear of Sultan. I ain't no fear of Sultan's daddy or his granddaddy. That's for the record. Now, say this and we're going to go right into our lesson. So I'm walking in this gathering in Washington, and I see this decent human being, African American. Don't go in these interfaith gatherings, you run and find some white person, and then you don't go and reach out for your own people, and you can see that the person may feel different. And I said, who are you? I figured he was probably a Seventh-day Adventist. Turned out he's the brother of our dear brother, who, in my opinion, is a chief of staff. Now, I ain't getting into no staff problem. I think, Mohammed, stand up, sir. And I said, no, because he curves himself that way. See, nobody gives you positions. You work, and you emerge. People talking about somebody took a position from me. You ain't doing nothing with it. It's already been taken. That's what it's about. But I was so, and his brother, this is the testament, his brother is the vice president of the international operations of the Red Cross. Isn't that a feather in our cap? Senior vice president. No, I looked at the card. Senior. I said, brother, we are so proud of you. Such a modest, decent person. See how many, now this is the promise of the Muhammad, friendship in all walks of life. And it would have been possible for him to be with his brother, for his brother to come to that gathering, if it were not for Imam W.D. Muhammad. We didn't have the mindset under Muhammad to befriend our own families. Sometimes we didn't even go to our own family's funeral. You know, we didn't hang out with our family. And that was for good reason. They still were eating pork, doing a lot of things that were destructive. So the Muhammad was constructing an ark. So I'm not here to beat that up. Now, let us turn our focus to two focus. The first focus being, we got out the book, having no doubt in it, a manual for guidance. So we should not be Muslims and understand the Quran came as some mystical book. In fact, the Quran came when studied. It came to the thinkers and the businessmen. The other guy gets some drippings. But the thinker, do you know how many thinkers that they have gotten from the Quran? How do you think the internet came about? Those people studying the Quran. They let me tell you, they ain't studied the Quran for me and not Muhammad. I'm after him. You see all these innovations. So we want to know how these systems of knowledge evolve. But let's focus now on the systems of knowledge. And I want you to know that my son, I have a son, he's 17 years old, he's had a birthday today. So that young lady back there, I'm looking for a daughter-in-law. I'm with you. And see, and you know what? That's what
I'm still working on him, but he'll be ready.
Let me tell you something. If he's a falter, I'll be ready to put give the digits up. Look, that's what we should be doing. We should be marrying in our community. Allah favors not on these other Muslim communities. Huh? Ask Syria. I'm giving it ask Saddam Hussein. I don't think he's around. Huh? Ask Osama bin Laden, is he blessed? We are the most favored people on earth. Now let's understand why we are. That nobody in the history of humanity have gone through what we've gone through and remain human. I don't want to name some people recent in history have seen them become monsters. We see one recently that is worse than the people that oppressed it. They have become animals. God said, "Laqad khalaqna al-insana fi ahsani taqwim. Thumma radadnahu asfala safilin." They are the lowest of the low. But 90% of our people, and their intentions are still innocent. And what we have had is bad leaders who have not called them back. The leaders in New Jersey, and I ask God to forgive me and have mercy on me for what just happened in Jersey last Friday. An African American went into the drugstore in Jersey City called, in the young people's language, Chill City. Walked in the morning in the Walgreens, snatched the gun out of the guard's hand, and shot a policeman point blank. Now that wasn't the worst part of it. That looked like such work. But then after that, they erected a shrine to him. Thug to the end. Rest in peace. All the wine bottle. Allah is my witness. I told the brothers that work with me, I said, if I was not in the hospital bed, I would have set up a rostrum there, bought a hose and a bucket, and I would took acid and said, this man is a degenerate. He does not represent us. That's the kind of moral courage we're going to have.
That's right.
We're going to have to stand up. But if you got misplaced values, if you were what's going on in Gaza, When God is guzzling, you better be aware of what's going on in guzzle.
Right.
And guzzle wherever we are guzzling blood.
That's right.
A guidance for all people. If it's a guidance for all people, should it start with the people most in need of it? Aren't you, Uncle Tom? I know you're scared. It's easy to love the folk of the Lord, the white folk, everybody else, and forget your own issues. But this is fiqh. We're applying the religion to time and circumstance. See, fiqh is based on Deen. Deen, the source is Quran. The second source is a life example from Mohammed. The third source is the consensus of the scholars. Now, I ain't talking the consensus of Sheikh bin Bubba. You know, Sheikh bin Bubba is a term we use in Jersey. For some Negro that know Babby Boo, all of a sudden he's getting fatwa. And he doesn't even know how to fill out a welfare form. So not the consensus of Sheikh bin Bubba, but the scholars, the learned who have studied religion. It's the consensus of them. And then the fourth consensus is logic, qiyas. And the fifth is earth, that which is customary. That means all our good church behavior, all our good lodge behavior, all our good neighbors becomes the foundation for Islamic law. Now the criminals among us, they don't want to enforce law. Because part of what the jailhouse scheme is to undermine order until it's not important. They'll create order when they're in jail and they holler Allahu Akbar. That's right. But they want to establish it. And God says in the Quran, this is very clear. He said, they were commanded, Umiru ila labadu Allah mukhlisina. And that word, when I came out of the hospital, that's the word that grabbed me. Sincere devotion. This is what we have to be about. This is the first. It's not about some black game. It's not about some building. It's not about developing some clergy. It's not about trying to build no money. It's not about building a hustle. Mukhlisina. And that's why these people departed from Imam Mohammed. That's why they could stay in the nation of Islam, because they could steal and take advantage of people. And God would not give. That's why he said you can't touch this book. How are you going to touch this book unless you touch it the way Prophet Muhammad touched it? And how did Prophet Muhammad touch it? He was in the cave concerned about his people. First of all, he was not a criminal. We need to understand that. He wasn't sticking people. He wasn't selling drugs. No, he wasn't doing any of that. He was an upright businessman, an orphan. So there was justification because he could have been a monster. And I know so many foster care kids are monsters. No, I know some kids are monsters with good parents. But he maintained his humanity.
Yes.
And as a result of that maintaining of his humanity, and so trustworthy, that a rich woman asked him to marry her. And he didn't become like many African American men, pimp their wives. I've known so many brothers who had wives had $4 or $5 million, and they drove her into the poorhouse. Didn't improve her wealth. And then not only was he satisfied to be a great businessman, he also was a man working in the cause of justice in the League of Justice. He didn't want satisfied with just that. He was in a group called a Unified, working on his human nature. Now, notice I didn't say nothing about God. He wasn't doing any of that. He had lost faith in what he saw the Christians. But he contemplated so hard, and God gave him the revelation. Yah, the Rob. Ikra, Rob. Why? Because Rob has been, in old terminology, is one who almost owns but nourishes and cherishes the thing from its beginning to its end. And now let us focus on the Rabbil Alamin and talk now about how the Rabbil Alamin first address religion. And let's now set the conditions as why we have gotten the most favored status. There's never in history of humanity been anything like the Nation of Islam. And God knows, I pray that it go away with a loud bang, with a whimper. Its days is over. It has been finished. You tell those in the Nation of Islam you won't know about it, I can tell you about it. We are graduates of it. We ain't going back.